Napoli, Napoli, Napoli!
What's going on, my fellow Napoletani and calcio enthusiasts? Today, we're joined by two special guests by the name of Martino Puccio and Francesco Pizzari. Real quick, I'll give you guys a little quick introduction if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Martino, I'll let you go first.
I just said, all right. Hey guys, I'm Martino, a Milan fan. Been on Calcio Twitter for God knows how long, like 15 years now, a long time. So also host the Milan podcast, That Milan Podcast, and yeah, just happy to chat with a couple of great Napoli fans. Yeah.
I am Francesco. I am from the Tutto Calcio podcast. We're a new podcast that just started up recently, about a few months back. And I'm new to the Calcio Twitter game, so it's a learning curve every single day. And I had to learn quickly. So I'm very glad to be a part of this show tonight. Talk about the post-match between Milan and Napoli.
Thank you, fellas. We appreciate both you coming on.
Yep, our honor to have you both on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so let's get started. Milan win at home 2-1 against Napoli. Goals from Saelemaekers, Pulisic, and De Bruyne. Debo, we'll start with you. Just a quick little overview of how it went.
Well, I mean, I think we were expecting it to be a difficult match with the starting formation and the back line being, for lack of better terms, decimated and having, two brand new debuts to come in. But I was trying to stay positive in the match. I thought that it would be a good opportunity for Martino to prove that he was a good signing. It didn't turn out very good for him, but Gutierrez actually had a good game, so I was satisfied with that. But Milan they came out on the front foot. I'll be honest with you. I was a little bit surprised how aggressive they were with Allegri being their coach. I thought maybe he would try to let the match come to them a little bit more. So that was a surprise, but they approached the match the perfect way. And I think that, in a way, our approach with pressing up high from the very, very get-go was probably a mistake.
Sure. And then, Martino, we'll start with you on the Milan side of things. Just an overall view of how you think it went. We'll obviously get into the specifics later on, but how do you guys think you did?
Yeah, I think this was one of Milan's first massive tests of the season to see where they were at, right? Like, obviously the shaky start against Cremonese, losing on that crazy goal by Bonazzoli, had a lot of people very upset. Rightfully so, because of how last season went, and you start off that way in Serie A. But then, they've been fantastic ever since, not conceding an open play goal up until this game. Offensively flowing very well, not conceding, like I mentioned. The midfield looks incredible. And then once Rabiot joined, I thought he's even taken it to a next level for the club because of his experience and characteristics next to someone like Luka Modric. And they were doing it without Rafael Leao and Christopher Nkunku and Yashadi. So these are all of their top signings or players, and they were getting great results. And so heading into a match like this, I think there was a lot of confidence and momentum on Milan's side, and it proved to be true early on in the match.
For sure. And Francesco, what is your input?
No, pretty much everything Martino just said. I mean, this was Milan's first big test, and they passed. Another big test was against Bologna when they won 1-0, but I think that offensively they look a lot better and they're a lot more organized compared to how they played last season, especially defensively. Allegri's helping shape up that team's defense compared to last season. I said it even recently on the show. If you put two screens up looking at the Milan-Napoli game from last season compared to this season and look at how the defensive shape was for Milan between the two games, it's night and day. They look a lot more organized. They look a lot more compact. Pavlovic is a standout defensive player for us, and he kind of reminds me of Bastoni a little bit when he goes forward and crosses those crosses in the box. But no, I'm excited for so far. I can't wait to see how the rest of the season flows, especially with another big test. At least I think another big test against Juventus this weekend.
Yeah, that should be a very interesting match
Should
for
be
sure.
fun.
Yeah. Of course, Rino coming in hot. Great win by Milan.
Yeah, right. It's going to be another great win by Milan this coming weekend there, Reno.
Oh boy.
Ah, you need
Oh,
to
boy.
probably be quiet for a little bit, dude.
All right, so let's get into the offensive performance of both sides, obviously. So for me, Napoli, terrible offensively. We only really looked stout whenever Milan unfortunately went down a man. A very, very dumb move by your defender there, pulling Di Lorenzo. I don't think that was necessary. It was an open goal. I feel like even being down 2-1, just having a full 11 out there would have kept you guys much more into the flow of the game, because that changed everything for us. It's sad that Conte only then went to the 4-3-3 and put in Noah Lang, put in Neres, and actually was able to add some creativity to a very stale side. Debo, what do you think? Some other points? I know you want to talk about KDB a bit. Anguissa's flaws that game.
I mean, so the overall offensive performance for me wasn't terrible. In the first half, we did create some chances, and Milan has proved so far this year that they are one of the best at limiting chances for the opposing attacking team. I think what was disappointing was that we couldn't convert some of those chances, and Zombo had two good chances. I'm trying to remember Gutierrez, if that was in the first half or not, but he had a header where he had a good chance. And, Magnan turned into the same dude for a match that he was when they won that Scudetto. Magnan had some crazy saves, not only in the first half, but also in the second half with some of those outside shots from David Neres. So overall offensive performance, I wasn't, when it comes to the team, I wasn't that upset with. Now, some individual performances I was very disappointed in.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, just overall, offensively, we really weren't a threat until we got that penalty and Milan went down a man. That was the most disappointing thing. And we know how defensively organized Allegri is, and we just gave him that chance to go up 2-0 really early into the match and just play his game. Martino, you guys definitely performed well offensively, especially in the first half. It was only when you guys went down a man, obviously, that you kind of, put more in the back. But how do you guys think did?
I think just to say real quick for Napoli, offensively, I think Politano was the best in that first half, attacking Estupinian. I think just our left side in general, left wing back, was the biggest weakness, obviously, outside of the red card. Those in-swinging crosses were the biggest danger. Locking down Højlund, I think, was the most impressive part of what we did.
Mhm.
I think he was null and void. And De Bruyne, for me, played a little too deep for Napoli. I think if he pushed up further, it'd be better. But Napoli's midfield as a whole, I was talking to Dan Russo, a great Napoli fan. I know you guys know him, on our podcast, and we were just basically saying the whole game's the midfield. Whoever ends up winning and, creating and winning the ball the most out of that is going to win the game. But what Pulisic did at Marianucci, and I feel bad for that kid because it's baptism by fire immediately in that match with what's on the line. Pulisic went right at him. And I thought him attacking their weakest player defensively was huge. And, Milan were riding that wave. I think Yusuf Fofana had a terrible chance he wasted when he shot too early. I just really didn't understand that opportunity. He also had Santi wide. I was perplexed by Allegri's substitution in the second half. Taking out Pulisic was very confusing to me when Santi's been struggling the way he has, and he doesn't really provide elite work rate like Pulisic does. And then obviously, for Milan in the second half, like what more can you do at that point? If you're up 2-0 and you get the red card, the goal is conceded, anything you could do is maybe on a counterattack if Napoli made a mistake. And we know that funny image of Leao running down like that. It wasn't really much of a threat. Gutierrez did a good job of winning that ball back, regardless of how much help he had. I think the story was of Milan showing I'm not saying they're going to win anything. It's way too early for that. But it was really a championship sort of performance in the sense of when you're preventing a team that's up a man, and I know Napoli were missing guys defensively, they pretty much had all their attackers. And the players that they sub on, like Noah Lang, Neres, those are quality players, and why Napoli are favorites this year, in my opinion, because of that depth has improved so much. I was really happy and impressed with Milan, and like Dan was saying, like Magnan turned back the clock with that. That was like one of his best performances in quite some time. But Milan were clinical, which they aren't very often. This match they did a great job, and like Francesco was saying, like Pavlovic, when he's not a headless chicken, he provides a lot of quality. And today was yesterday was one of those matches.
Definitely. Francesco, I know that was a lot of input. Do you want to go ahead and put some in there?
No, man, listen, I just, as soon as I saw the starting 11 from both teams, with Marianucci going on. Gutierrez, I mean, I know he's got some experience, especially with the previous team that's playing with Marianucci. In a sense, I don't want to say it completely replicates what happened a few years ago when Napoli played Milan at the Maradona, and they had to bring on, what was his name? Marco Pellegrino, I think was his name.
The red card and when everybody got injured.
Right.
That was a bad one.
And you could tell that with his inexperience, Politano took advantage of that, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna ride this kid, man. Are you kidding me?" And they off
blew that instantly. Yeah.
So I think that going into the game, Allegri probably was like telling his guys, like, "Yo, this guy's playing in the defense. Go out there and attack as soon as possible." So, and that's just exactly what happened, especially with Christian Pulisic in the second minute. He got the early goal. But first half-wise, I think Milan did very good in the offensive end. They shaped themselves very well defensively. I think the tackle on McTominay kind of got away with a little bit. I'll be honest. That should have been a penalty in the first half, but I'm not the referee. I'm not what's his name? The referee.
Chiefy, I think.
Chiefy, Chiefy. Yeah, I'm not Chiefy. So, and we all know how much of a reputation Chiefy has. So, not just with any team, but no, they did very good. And then defensively, like I said, they were very sharp. Estupiñán was getting burned by Politano throughout the entire course of the match, especially leading up to the red card. And then speaking of the red card, I mean, if I was Estupiñán, if you're already beat, you're not marking the man very well. I would have just let Di Lorenzo score because at least, the goal happens. Okay, it is what it is. You made the mistake, but you still got 11 guys on the field to be able to still go out there and still compete with Napoli. So that's just my take on that.
I actually feel like that call was correct. And it's just because it's almost like a 50-50. I think it was a bit soft. I don't know. Like
the Tomori one, you mean?
That. The McTominay one, where he hit him on the thigh. I think it's a bit soft. He didn't really even have a chance on the ball too much. I mean, the Di Lorenzo one was obvious. It was an open goal.
Oh, yeah. That's
to the left,
You're denying goal scoring opportunity. That's for automatic red card.
Yeah, so I don't think we should just rely on that one call because I see a lot of Napoli fans saying, "Oh, we didn't get this call. We'd have tied won the match." No, I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to be that guy, but you're up a man for half an hour, bringing quality on the bench.
No, I know.
Mori got hurt. Salamakers got hurt. It's just one of those games where I think Napoli can learn from and just move forward and pick up the pieces.
Exactly. So a hot topic right now, and not just from this week, but this season alone, it's Christian Pulisic, Mr. America, Captain America. What do you guys call him down there? What is his nickname? Does he have one?
Everyone just go Captain America. I know he hates it. He doesn't even like it.
That's what I was going to mention. Yeah,
and everybody still does it because I don't think they could come up with anything else.
Right.
So he doesn't wear the armband, right?
Say again.
He doesn't wear the armband, right? He's not the team captain.
No, Magnan for Milan.
So, it's like Magnan for captain. I don't know. Man. Call him Captain America if he was captain, but if not.
we went with Mr. America just because I know he does not like being called that. I did see that he mentioned that, so I hope he's okay with that.
Listen, Captain America or not, man, he's our top performer right now, and I don't want to hear people saying we're layout dependent anymore. I'm getting sick and tired of hearing.
I think you guys played better with that layout, man.
We haven't had him since the body game, and look how we've been performing. I mean, sure, we lost against Cremonese. It sucks. It is what it is, but. We've been doing
talent-wise, we know that he's obviously your best player talent-wise. But in terms of heart and talent combined together, I think Pulisic is far above and beyond anybody on your team.
Well, not just him. For me, also Salamakers and Modric, those guys as well.
Hold on a second, though, man. Hey, Francesco, hold on a quick second, man. So,
what's up?
Are you comfortable that Allegri is going to get some of the best performances out of Leao, or are you basically saying that we don't need to worry about Leao being a difference maker this season.
No, I think if this game against Juventus, I think we'll see if that is the case. I still think he could get the best out of Leao. I'm confident.
Because that's
he could get
scary.
the best out of
For
Leao.
me, that's scary.
Especially when you got one game a week and it's a World Cup year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were going to say, but I was just double checking because, what you said made me feel like, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, my predictions at the beginning of the season was Milan's going to be an easy second place. And after this game, they're the only other, for me, it's between them and Napoli as the Scudetto contenders as it stands right now. I know that Roma is tied in the table, but dude, Milan, if Leao starts clicking and they can play somewhat near to the defense they're playing now, it's no longer going to be, I think they're going to be second. They're going to be neck and neck with Napoli.
True, but also don't sleep on the other team. I don't want to sleep on Napoli, obviously, and I'm going to throw them in there. Don't sleep on Roma.
I wouldn't sleep on Inter.
As an actual Scudetto contender, I need to see Roma actually score some goals, man. I mean, they're playing good defense, but they're not scoring a lot of goals. I think it's far enough into the season where Gasperini is the coach, should have been able to get a few more goals, but we'll see if they can start doing that. Then maybe they'll be in the mix. Yeah. And then Inter, I'm still not sold on Kiviu, man. Kiviu just he just doesn't seem like he's going to be the guy that's going to have Inter in the fight at the very end. But it is Inter; they got a bunch of talent.
So. Their talent is, I still think they have the best 11.
Yes,
in general, there's so many different factors that we've never seen a team that old played very deep, as you can go in every competition. And obviously the Scudetto was the final day. They were there for that hilarious Champions League final, but then they had to go play the Club World Cup. They had the shortest amount of rest. They are the oldest team on average per age for starting 11, with a manager who's not even managed for 6 months at the top flight level. So it's not even a disrespect to Kivu thing. Inzaghi was still one of the best managers in Europe. So to lose someone like that matters. And I know Inter fans have a lot of sour taste in their mouth because of how that season ended. He is still an incredible manager at the end of the day. And I think they're understating it a little bit. And I've known they've done pretty well so far, but they've had a couple blips. They don't look anything, dominant, in my opinion. But, they're taking care of most of their stuff so far and getting results. But that match against Juve and Udinese, I think they lost. That's, we got to see how they handle the pressure moving forward. But real quick on Leao, if you don't mind. I think with Allegri's system and Milan in general, this is the best actual system that they've had in quite a few years. Pioli was sort of all over the place at the end of his tenure. Last year was the worst managed Milan team in a decade. And that's hard to do when you don't have a midfield, when your defense sucks, to get the ball to a player like that. And every time he got the ball, if Pulisic is not playing or he's out of form, it's easier to stop Leao. Leao is you just go at him and you double him, and teams always do that. They're terrified of the guy because that guy on a counterattack, he's one of the scariest players in all of Europe. And he's terrifying. And I think with the Allegri system, they're going to sit back against certain teams, especially Serie A sides. And we saw it a little bit in the preseason. If Leao is hit open on the counter and you got guys like Pulisic who are still very dangerous next to him, even in Nkunku, whenever he features, Leao is going to have people he could provide assists to, or as long as he's aggressive as a finisher. His finishing is always the biggest issue for me. I don't think a player of that talent level is good enough, because when Cavada and him were at their peaks, Cavada was a far better ball striker. So when Cavada was in form like that, you could rely more on his goal scoring. Where Leao had stretches where he's not scoring at San Siro for months. He wasn't scoring in Serie A for months. And it's really frustrating because you guys said it. He is the most talented player. And I don't think it's close offensively. So to not have that sort of consistent player, I think for him and Pulisic, these are the biggest seasons of their career. heading into the World Cup, playing once a week with the talent level on this team. There's zero excuse not to finish top 3 at this rate from what I've seen. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to have to be Leao raising his level and matching what Pulisic is doing.
Definitely. So you guys did start fairly fast in the match. I mean, it only took you 3 minutes to score. I do want to get into Luca Marianucci just getting completely obliterated this game. You know, and it sucks to say. I mean, he's got thrown to the wolves, really. I mean, it's the first match he's played in Serie A. Obviously, he played with Empoli, but to be thrown to, in my opinion, right now is the strongest side in Serie A away at the San Siro. It's just very unfortunate. You can't really, tack the guy for what he went through. So Debo, if you want to get into Marianucci, also our other starter who had debuted, Gutierrez, and just make some statements of how they did.
I mean, I mentioned it before, and Marianucci, I was hoping that he was going to take advantage of the opportunity, and I think that it wasn't completely his fault that he was put into the position that he was, because they came out high pressing from the very get-go. But the brother made a big mistake, man. I mean, he just committed too hard on Pulisic, and then when Pulisic got by him and he was trying to catch up, he should have tried to take an angle and not try to get up on him and try to tackle him like that. He should have just got back to the box and tried to figure out what Pulisic was going to do. When he tried to tackle him, it was lights out, man. Like, if you don't make that tackle, they're going to score because of the position of, Pulisic being all by himself with all the time in the world to make a perfect pass, and his pass was perfect to Salamakers. I mean, it couldn't have been better. So, but Gutierrez, I think I touched on him too. I was satisfied with his performance. I was excited to see what he could do in attack. He didn't do much in attack. He had that one chance with that header. That was a good chance for him, and it would have been really nice if that ball went in. But Mike Magnan was there. He was ready for it. So, not disappointed in Gutierrez, but definitely disappointed in Marianucci, but it wasn't entirely his fault either.
Yeah, I mean, Gutierrez is what allowed. Salamakers was completely open on that far right side, and we know that that's where Gutierrez should have been.
Yeah,
I think his first 15 minutes were pretty shaky, but other than that, he did fairly well, especially starting against Milan away. Francesco, we'll start with you. Offensively, the first half you guys dominated, started very quick. What do you think Allegri told your boys? From the get, just be aggressive.
It could have been that's probably what he could have said. Maybe, just go out there, be aggressive, because if you got a guy like Marianucci starting and Gutierrez who hasn't gotten a single minute on the field, he probably told him just go out there, be aggressive, get the goals as early as possible. So this way we just try to defend for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Martino, what did you
That's
think?
just my guess.
Yeah.
Just my guess.
I think a lot of the talk around Milan in general and the players and the group are kind of a bit of a redemption story in terms of narratives. Pulisic gets a lot of flack, as we all know, for what happened, not going to the Gold Cup, how he handled that. Gets some flack on big games, even though he's done great the past 2 years with that. There's the Leao question marks. Is Luka Modric good enough at 40? Rabiot is sort of this outcast. And Allegri, we know what Juve fans were saying about him. I think all of that combined together, there is so much, and even the defense. I mean, listen, I don't think any Milan fan heading into the year trusted them. I think with all of that, there's laser focus when you work once a week. You guys literally saw it last year with your manager, legendary Italian manager too, that they know how to approach this game. And, Milan are playing good, fluid football. This isn't any garbage Juve where we saw them scraping on points in stoppage time, just getting one goal. Those Juve teams were not playing very well. These Milan sides, what they did away to Udinese was very impressive. Grinding out Bologna, Orsolini did nothing in that game, and that's a very good player. And then even Napoli, with all the talent that you guys had on the pitch, prior to the red card, I thought Milan did a pretty good job outside of, conceding a couple of them. And Gisa absolutely should have at least hit the target on that one header. That was pretty stunning to see him miss it. But, I just think when guys and teams are having so much momentum like Milan had, They just come out firing. And usually last year, they would concede first all the time and they would have to play from behind. And I think Allegri kind of knows you have to put your foot on the gas. And when, Conte is putting out, some lineups like that, I know Bokema couldn't really play. I understand, like, you have Champions League Sporting coming up. So, like, I understand maybe like, hey, it's Milan away. We don't have all our guys. Maybe we can get something out of this. Maybe a point, I think, might have been the approach he would have gone with. But, Milan did exactly what they were supposed to do when Napoli field a backline like that. You attack and you make them prove that they're at this level. No disrespect to Marianucci, Gutierrez. When you have to answer the bell like that at San Siro, when the Curva came back, by the way, too, so the atmosphere was very different. You have to be like, okay, show us. We know you're the champions, but you have some backups now. Can you handle what we throw at you? And I think Milan did a really good job of keeping them on there. And I'm not sure what you guys thought, but the vibe with Napoli at the start of that seemed very shaky, of like, they just got punched in the face in round 1 and they got knocked down. They were like, what the hell was that? And I thought they rebounded well, honestly. Like, in the second half of that first half, I thought Napoli played pretty solid considering what had happened. So, I'm just very happy with the way Milan came out. The red card just left a sour taste in your mouth for what happened. So, but once the final whistle blew, you're very satisfied.
Yeah, and you did mention Udinese. I feel like people aren't really valuing that match too much. It's not easy to play away at Udinese and this team just beat Inter at the San Siro as well. So I feel like this was like your almost second test, not even like your first test, to be honest.
Away to Udinese is like, you ask any Serie A fan, no one feels confident going in there. You have to be like the best team in Europe to feel good about going in there, and even then, those teams can lose. Like that is one of the matches on a schedule of like bottom half teams that I'm like, I don't want to watch this today. Like, I have no interest in this. And I was thrilled to not worry for a minute in that one. So I agree with you.
You guys did win 3-0, right? That's what it was?
Correct. Yeah.
0, yep.
So defensively, we did go over all the offensive performances. We already know about Napoli. They struggled fairly well in the first half, allowed 2 fairly quick goals, especially being in the 3rd minute. Debo, if you want to talk about, obviously we didn't have our 2 starters in Bukema or even Rachmani and Buongiorno. So we basically had 3 subs out there. How do you think they handled it? I mean, overall.
I mentioned before, like the overall performance for the offense, I wasn't disappointed in. And when you look at everything that they had to deal with and how Milan approached the match, I mean, Milan could have scored more than 2 in the first half, the way they were playing. Like, they were absolutely on the front foot and taking advantage of our injuries and player selections that Conte made. So, I mean, you can't be upset with the match ending only giving up 2 goals. Now, Milan did get a red card, so we had a little bit of an advantage there where Milan was basically just going to try to hold that lead. But I do think that in the second half, and Martino mentioned it already, that they settled down after the 2 goals, got punched in the mouth. And then from that point on, I think the defensive performance was fine. It just, those 2 episodes killed them,
Yeah, definitely gut-wrenching. I mean, Napoli overall, I don't think they did well defensively. Obviously, whenever Milan went down a man, they didn't try to inflict too much damage on the attacking side. But Milan, on the other hand, I feel like they played Napoli phenomenally on the defensive side. They played a very well low block. They blocked the interior passing lanes, and we know that KDB loves doing that, and he was completely shut down all match. I feel like KDB's only been useful really this whole season on set pieces anyway. But defensively, we saw Allegri ball in full effect, very organized. He's overall a defensive manager. But Martino, we'll start with you. How do you guys think you did defensively?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I thought they did a great job on Højlund. Null and void. And Højlund's got off to a good start. I thought he's looked very good. That match against Fiorentina, right? I think I thought he looked fantastic. When Højlund is able to run in behind the defense, he is very fast. That bodes well. But like I was saying, like, De Bruyne so far back just seemed odd to me. He does, and I'm not even like, I don't dislike De Bruyne, nothing with that. And I know how he looked in preseason. He just does not look like in great shape physically. I know you can get away with that in Serie A, but like if you know he's not that great, and Dan Russo even mentioned this too, I agree with him. The midfield that Conte seems to kind of be forcing with these 4 players who are all individually good quality, Anguissa, Lobotka, McTominay, and De Bruyne, I'm not sure there's good enough balance there to allow everybody to see their full potential. And I think Milan took advantage of that. I think Milan's midfield a little bit more balanced. Lobotka played great, and nobody really kind of talked about it, which is usually how it goes for him, because Anguissa was more like a name that you saw pop up. I thought Milan really shut down. There was one instance where I think De Bruyne or McTominay tried to play a ball into Højlund and behind, and Gabbia read it immediately, or Tomori, and they just snatched it. And they said, that's not happening. And for guys of that talent level, I was very happy with it. Salamakers, I love this player. What he's able to do as a right wing back, and that's his position, right? Because when Milan won the Scudetto, it was 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. He's more attacking up top. But if you allow this guy to have a work rate, he is an energizer bunny. And the way he finally, I think, understands after his loan with Roma is to pick his chances, like you saw in this one, where he's become a better goal scorer. And I was just very happy with it. There weren't that many chances that Napoli had. And I thought, again, dangerous in swinging crosses. There weren't that many in front of goal where I was like, oh, crap, like that one's like a really great chance. You saw a lot of them coming from out wide, even in the second half, too. Like Neres' chance. If you're going to be down a man, you kind of live with those, because those are really difficult to finish. And I just thought the way Milan showed that grit, again, Salamaker subbed off, Tomori subbed off, Athakame is like, this kid's like a baby. He's never had any experience. And to just not concede 2 goals after that, I was just very satisfied. I never really thought that we're going to lose. I was very worried about a draw at that point, because that was certainly on the table. And after the way we started the match, I would have been gutted by that. And just to, again, you see the emotions with Modric. I know you guys could laugh at it because it's just match day 5.
I think it's fair.
But, you know, you suffer for that long, right? You guys last year too, you have to go through certain matches. You're not at your best. You're not playing well, and you have to grind games out. And that was just a very proud performance, in my opinion, where you just see guys like that, maybe not the greatest talent level, but you get the job done and don't concede. And that's all you could ask for in those situations. But Estupiñán is just, this guy is off to a terrible start to end that there.
I know you have some points about Estupiñán, Francesco. If you want to talk about it a bit.
My favorite nickname I give him is Stupido. But I think defensively, I mean, Martino hit everything spot on. It's just the only player I said defensively that's terrible, of course, is Estupiñán. In that half hour remaining in the game where we went down that man because of the red card, I'll be honest, I was nervous, and it made me even more nervous when I was out with my fiance, you know, doing our engagement photos while the game was going on in the background. So, but no, Milan held their ground down very well. I thought, you know, players like Rabiot, everyone, Gabbia, Tomori, Pavlovic, even though before Tomori got subbed off and replaced, I thought they were holding down the 4 very well. You know, Magnan doing what he needed to do to be able to save those shots and keep everything out as much as possible, so this way Napoli didn't score another goal. And I just, it's just, there's really not much else for me to say. I think they held down the 4 very well in that second half. I was nervous. I was expecting Napoli to tie 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nerve-wracking being up only 1 goal and then being down a man. I completely understand.
And especially when those 2 shots came from Neres. Oh, my God.
Don't remind me.
I was very nervous.
So we kind of touched already.
Luka being subbed on was nerve-wracking because of the way you were creating chances where these cross balls, and Luka's the guy's a giant. He's the size of an NBA player. So even if he's been a little inconsistent to start with Napoli, it's never easy breaking in a Conte side. You have to earn trust. You know, I was worried about him, but I'm very happy that it really kind of wasn't. He wasn't much of a threat. I don't ever really remember him.
He didn't.
I don't know.
He didn't get on the
one
end.
ball.
Nope, he didn't get on the end of one ball.
And what was crazy is,
and he's like 8 feet tall.
And what was crazy is, Martino brought it up before, you know, with De Bruyne playing so far back, especially if Milan are down to 10 men, wouldn't you, instead of keeping him in that position, would you try to push him up just a little bit? Just see if you can get those passes in, try to
Fair
get those
point.
other crosses in.
These Italian managers are paranoid of a counterattack.
I just don't understand.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Get
that's
it.
why you see 7 guys chase a guy who's really coming off of a calf injury. Is he gonna score? Probably not, but like, you know, it's the way they play. It's
Well, I always thought it was just like, wow, they really have PTSD from a few years ago.
I'm
You know,
not doing that.
Nah, Leao was always a threat against us, man. He's a hassle.
But yeah, I was very surprised. Like I said, very surprised that he played him that far back, and he wouldn't push De Bruyne up forward a little bit to try to make him a little more aggressive.
Yeah,
on
so
the
so
attack.
real quick, since you do mention KDB, we'll do this quick segment on him. What do you think is the reasoning? I mean, Martino mentioned his fitness, but do you also believe that Conte is not allowing him to play his game? Is it the formation maybe, or is it just him? Like what really makes it to where KDB has not been himself really?
You want me
Either
to?
one of you,
I think it's formation. I don't think it complements him well.
It's
I think
formation.
if Anguissa and Lobotka are working around him, working hard, and you let KDB push forward and be that guy who can be one of the best creators of the past 10 years, in which he has been, you have to do that. But it's also like, where does McTominay go? You can't take off McTominay because he's the MVP. He won you guys. That's good. That I mean, I have rarely seen a player that clutch in a season like he was. So I understand that's hard to move off of. It's sort of like, but do you also play without a striker? I think those are the things that Conte is figuring out. And then I don't like bringing it up like that. We don't know what's going on in dressing rooms. But, Conte is not shy and doesn't mix words about those sort of things. De Bruyne, there's egos all the time. And what De Bruyne has to do, in my opinion, I'm on Conte's side. You need to be in shape and you need to play better. Because if you're not, I don't have to sit here and play you. Because I have other guys that can come in and contribute that helped me win a title last year. As great as you are, as great as you've been, if you're not up to par, you're not up to the standard of what I'm asking, then you could sit on the bench. And that's basically what Conte's been saying. I just think that, it's also hard for superstars like De Bruyne at this point in their career where you have to take a step back and you have to change who you are. And that's an ego thing. It happens all the time in so many sports, right? Like, great NBA players, you can't be dropping 30 points every night. You have to step back and be a facilitator. De Bruyne, you're not going to be, the greatest number 10 in the world anymore where they keep feeding you the ball in Guardiola's system. You have to find different ways to impact the game. And I think that's a transitional phase that he has to adapt to. And, I think it'll be okay because he's too talented. But, right now it's a rocky start. But, it's not always sunshine and rainbows with Conte. So, I think it's part of the charm.
I mean, yeah, it's just I just think it could be a mix of like he's probably playing him in the wrong position, maybe repositioning himself on that starting 11 where he's able to facilitate the midfield a little bit better. And I just think I agree with Conte. Like, this isn't your team. This is Napoli. This is not Napoli's or Kevin De Bruyne's Napoli. But, those are things you're supposed to keep behind the scenes. You don't try to say that I'm public. But then again, we know this is how Conte is. He's always going to have his little crash out moments where he's going to throw someone under the bus. So I'm not really surprised that he came out and said something like that.
Yeah.
But I just think that he just needs more time too, KDB. Just give him a little more time. And if he's really not performing well, I hate to say it, but I think it's he might have to come off the bench.
Substitute time. Yeah. I'm also thinking that this formation doesn't even suit McTominay. I mean, teams have been able to really defend him well. He's not able to be that box-to-box midfielder that we're used to. I don't know. I definitely think it's a formation thing. I think we should go back to the 4-3-3. Include Neres more in games. I do appreciate Politano. He's a great defensive player. Offensively, he does have some sparks, but I think he's kind of predictable at this point, especially Napoli being so one-sided, always attacking from the right. I'm hoping that having Gutierrez now will actually help that situation, but who knows? Debo, did you want to put some input on the KDB?
Well,
What do you think it is?
So I got a quick question. Going to 4-3-3.
Mm-hmm.
All 4 of those midfielders are starting midfielders. going around to everybody that's here, if you were going to switch to a 4-3-3, which three midfielders do you play in the important games from what you've seen the players do so far?
I think it's an easy answer. It's
Yeah.
McTominay, Lobotka, and Gisa. I
Gisa,
don't think
yeah.
twice. And
Just
I
those
say
three.
Kevin De Bruyne, whatever. I have a super weapon off the bench then.
I mean, we got these players to be rotational. Like, that's what Conte struggles with the most, is rotating players correctly. I mean, I even think Neres came on super late, the 75th minute. I mean, he could have came in at the
I was a
60th,
little
really.
surprised, yeah.
So
And that's
do-
just what Conte does.
But do you really think that KDB, what a lot of people feel is the best midfielder in this generation, is going to be okay coming off the bench in the big matches? Do you think
But
that
he's
would go over
he's
well?
only been there for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
so he can't go in there and think like he runs the team.
Well, that was the point I was talking about with egos, is that,
Put it to the
this
side.
guy was the guy at
Mhm.
like the most successful club in the best league in the world
Yeah.
for years now. And to be delegated like that, and it was slowly happening at City because he hasn't been healthy. So it's not even like this is sort of a new thing. It's an ego, Bruce. You have to adjust to it, because he could have gone to San Diego, right? on the West Coast by you guys, which was one of those offers out there. He could have gone to Saudi Arabia. He chose to go to
Chicago
Napoli.
was one too,
Yeah. He chose to go to Napoli. And I'm sorry, like, you can't arrive and be surprised when Conte is like this, and you're
Exactly.
in this situation that you're like. I think this is on De Bruyne, and I think also the way Conte had called him out, I think is proper, because like, you could call a guy into your office, you could do all that, but at the end of the day, everybody saw how pissed De Bruyne was when he got subbed off against Milan.
Yep.
They saw his face, even if it was a red card against Manchester City. They saw his reaction there, where he felt that he was owed to stay on the pitch because he's facing his former team. It's like, okay, enough. Okay, we settled this now, and you listen to me. I just think there was no real way for Conte to do it. I know everybody's very quick to jump down on the Conte train of like, this guy is like chaotic, he's all over it. I'm on Conte's side. Like, this is the player is clearly not up to standard. Like, if De Bruyne was amazing, then no one says anything. No one's going to argue. But guess what? He hasn't been good. He hasn't been impressive. And he gets paid quite a bit of money. It's not like Napoli.
man.
Sorry.
I honestly think that Conte needs to not waste any time in this game tomorrow versus Sporting, due to the fact that he's probably going to have to go 4-3-3. Just do it now. Have him sit, see how that works out, bring him in the second half and see how his motivation is. Don't keep trying to do this and waiting for KDB to wake up or all of a sudden be anything close to what KDB was that everybody remembers as this great midfielder, right? I'm not saying that KDB is not going to be able to get to where he needs to be to make the impact that we want him to make. But, man, we can't wait on that, man. We can't wait on it.
And especially after you just lost to Milan and now you're leveled on points. You can't. Because
there's a lot of matches. There's a lot of matches to be played. There's even new Champions League format. I believe it's 2 more games than the usual like group stage.
8 games.
That goes into January. Super Copa's in December as opposed to January. And obviously Napoli earned that. I think that Conte never usually suffers in the league. He usually suffers in Europe when that multiple competition stuff happens. But I think he's been around the block so many times that he, like what Debo's saying, like, you have to do it now. You have to make the changes, because stuff in football can snowball, and it can snowball fast. And you have to stop that train before it's coming. So I think Conte knows that, and this is what he's trying to pull off until Lukaku gets back, which I also think is like a huge loss. That's just, it's indescribable. I know the guy isn't as prolific as a 20-25 goal scorer anymore, but the guy was up there in goals and assists last season. So like, it's, it's hard to replace. So I get it on a level.
Definitely. So moving on from KDB, let's talk about a really good player right now. That's Christian Pulisic. Debatably, no debate. I don't think it's a debate right now. Easily the Serie A MVP. Up for debate, though, is I think he's a top 3 winger in the world. I mean, in 5 games, he has 4 goals, 2 assists. And the thing that makes him so impactful is that he doesn't need to score or make an assist to even be an impact on the field. So real quick, we'll start with Martino. How do you think Pulisic has done so far? Do you see this run continuing throughout the season?
I think he's been great since game one for Milan, since he arrived. Genuinely, I think everybody knows it quality-wise. Like, he was scoring goals in the Champions League as a teenager for Dortmund. You know, that's a pretty big club. He was scoring big goals for Chelsea. That just didn't work out. But as we see with like Chelsea and the Manchester Uniteds of the world in the past like half decade, well, United longer than that, you know, people struggle there and then they go elsewhere and then they thrive. He's done a great job. I think he's found a home. And what the statistic came out that he has the most goal contributions since he arrived in Serie A outside of Lautaro. Again, he didn't take penalties his first season. That was delegated to Giroud. And he's a winger, you know? Like, I'm sorry, like, to score goals like that and assist, and Leao is also your partner. And let's be honest here, I don't mean to disrespect any of the players on Milan, but their strikers suck. They haven't had a good striker for 2 years now. So, like, to have those numbers there when you don't have a guy to feed like that and your other partner in Leao is a poor finisher, it's very impressive. And he's doing it in the big games. Scored against Liverpool, Inter, how many times? I obviously scored against Napoli, and this roaring start. Only Nico Paz, to me, has played at like an elite level like him, considering like who he's playing with. But Pulisic is just, this is his moment. He's entering his prime. It's a World Cup in America. He needs to raise his level, and I think he knows it. And we'll see. Once a week, he'll be rested because he slowed down a bunch like February last year. And I know Francesco could tell you the same. Like, he started to hit a little bit of a wall because he's not that big of a dude. I think he's like 5'9". So, you know, that's taxing on the body. So I think what he's been able to do has been incredible. It's great to just see an American just play well. And at a club like this, it's just, I'm very proud to say it.
Yeah, he's definitely putting America on the map. That's one thing for sure. Yeah, the things I see on social media, it's great. Francesco, did you want to put any input on Pulisic?
I think with Pulisic, the greatest decision that he ever made was leaving Chelsea to go to AC Milan. Milan has completely revived his career, and what he's doing at Milan is incredible. And I just think that, yeah, sure, Leao has been there a lot longer. You know, he's technically still our most valuable player in a sense with his market value, but this is Pulisic's team, in my opinion. We got to build a team around him. Leao, yeah, he's still a good player on our team, but this is Pulisic's team. It's just what he has done since, like Martino was saying before, since the moment this man has arrived on the team has been incredible. We haven't had a decent, consistent, quality player like Pulisic in such a long time. It's and what I mean by that is like at his age, like, yeah, Giroud, you know, he was very good for us. Obviously, when Ibrahimovic came back, that led us to that Scudetto winning season. He was very good for us despite his age. But a player like Pulisic, and of course you could say Theo Hernandez as well, but Theo Hernandez is a left back. He's not a winger, even though I think Theo Hernandez should be a winger because he tends to attack more than he defends. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I'm very glad that Pulisic is doing what he's doing for Milan. And yeah, like Martino said as well, it's World Cup season. So he really needs to, he's just stepping up his game, and because he wants to be able to lead the United States to that World Cup, depending on how far they go.
That would be crazy if they go in deep.
Man, if he could do that,
man,
the worst defense I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, especially with Pochettino still coaching.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that guy. I'm not. I respect what he did for Tottenham, but nah. So for the last topic on today's live, we'll get into the overall Serie A, and that's the Scudetto contenders. I know it's very early. I mean, we're only, 5 matches in, but I want to hear you guys' opinions. Top 3, top 5. For me, I think right now, just from recency bias, Milan 1, Napoli 2, Roma 3. I could care less about 4th and 5th. It'll probably end up being Juventus or Inter, probably Inter. I'm not impressed with Juventus at all, and I don't believe in Tudor. But I feel like Roma have a very good chance just from their defense. I know Dom mentioned this on the Tutto Calcio pod, that defense wins championships. I feel like Napoli showed that presumably well last season. We weren't scoring goals like this. We were very defense heavy. We were considered the best defense in Europe statistically. But Debo, we'll start with you. Give me your top 3 and top 5.
3 and top 5.
Yeah, just their top 3 and then 4th and 5th.
Well, I mean, it starts with Napoli and Milan. I don't think there's anybody else right now that I'm comfortable to say is a Scudetto contender. But if you want a third team to be in the top three, I think it's going to end up being Inter. I think Inter's going to find a way to use their quality and their experience, and they're going to be able to be there. And then I think after that, it's probably going to be Roma, in the fourth position, and Juve in the fifth. I think that's probably the top five I'm looking at right now. But when it comes to Scudetto contenders, I'm only comfortable in saying today that it's Milan and Napoli.
Roma's
Well,
defense.
wait, I said that the wrong way.
Yeah.
Napoli and Milan.
Yeah. So Roma doesn't scare you at all whatsoever with that defense. Really?
Not as a Scudetto contender. No,
Okay.
they don't.
Francesco, what do you think?
Despite us beating Napoli, I still think Napoli still first for now and Milan second. I still need to see more of the season unfolding because it's still very early.
Yeah.
I can't get too excited yet. Inter, no, I put Inter fourth. Roma third because they do look very solid defensively, and we have to see with their other guys coming back. And hopefully whenever Dybala can get back. And I put Juve at fifth because I just don't see Juve. I'm not trying to disrespect them. I just really don't see them making much noise this season, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And Martino?
Yeah, I think Napoli still. Plenty of quality. Lukaku will come back. I think Milan will be there to the end because of their manager. They play once a week. The team is littered with champions. I think it's a matter of health. We'll see what they do in January. Very curious to see if they do anything. They've made a lot of money on player sales. I think it'll actually be three teams till the end.
Yeah.
Inter, I think will be involved. They're way too talented. I think Kivu, sure, there's question marks, but that's like an overall competition thing. I think within Serie A, they're still going to rack up points. They're just, for me, too talented. That attack is insane, by the way. Like,
and they're
Boni and Esposito, like as backup options, I think they have the best attack in the league out of all those players. For Milan, it obviously depends also on Santi Jimenez and Nkunku. Because if Nkunku is like even relatively close to what he was at his peak, it's very scary. And then also with that, I have Roma fourth. I think Gasparini is a fantastic manager. I think that his, balance is much improved. There's a higher talent level at Roma than there is at Atalanta. I think that's what some people might forget. And Juve, like, again, I will disrespect their defense. It sucks. They are transitionally terrible. That midfield is not that good. Individually, good, talented players. I like Thuram a lot. Very good player, Thuram. Locatelli is good, overrated by a lot of Juventini just because he's a Juve fan, I guess. I don't know. Bremer has a knee issue already. His knee that he injured is already bothering him. That would worry me. Cambiaso, good player. Their attack is like, Yildiz is awesome. Zagrova is very good. Their strikers, like, they're sitting Jonathan David for a full 90 minutes against Atalanta. To me, like, that's just stupid. Like, it's just, like, if the guy is producing, you pay all that money for a guy, you put him in. And Tudor, very much like Kivu, isn't successful anywhere. And Juve is a very big job. And they've dropped results. They haven't looked good defensively. They've looked bad in the Champions League. They haven't looked great in Serie A. I know they won that game because Sommer was garbage. Okay? Full stop. They played well, but Sommer sucked. So for me, everything outside of that, what I see with Juve, no, man. Like, I just, like, eventually you have to pay the bill. And Juve are having a lot of their bad decisions over the years catch up to them. And I think it might catch up to them now. Because Tudor, like, just real quick, I just not to shit on Juve some more, but
we appreciate
you guys thought they were going to get Conte. We all knew it. That was the worst kept secret in Serie A. They failed
January.
They failed miserably. They had egg on their face, and no one else wanted to manage them. And so they got stuck with Tudor. They had no choice but to keep him. And to me, that's funny because that shows a misdirection. Like, so you're saying publicly, everyone knows you want this guy, and then you're like, okay, yeah, I guess we're going to have to keep you. You former player that had success with us, help us. Like, what's the goal here? Like, are they winning this good? No, they're not. So like they're like top 4 hopes again. That's because it's an unserious manager in an inconsistent project where they had just fired a director that they thought was great and who made so many stupid moves. Yeah, I just like this Juve thing is just, it's only because it's Juve that people would like give them the benefit of the doubt. If this was Milan, Inter being managed this way, they wouldn't stop laughing at them. It's to me, I think they're just like similar to Milan with a lot more money, and that's really what it is. So yeah. Sorry.
Thank you, Martino. We all appreciate a little Juve hate watch. It's
funny. It's funny he said what he said about Conte, because it's just like, oh my god, I heard Juve fans. Oh, Conte's coming, you know.
And I was so happy for Napoli fans when that happened, because that's just like, because I know you guys are very positive. I respect that so much because I'm a Mets and Jets fan. I'm miserable all the time. So like to have your optimism with like your history of like things go well for Napoli, and then like, you know, it's the year after Spalletti with Rudy Garcia. To have that win must have felt almost as good as winning the title, because it's like, one, you made Juve look stupid and you kept the best manager, and you're going in as favorites with, because like Conte stays, he gets what he wants, and when Conte gets what he wants, he usually wins. So I was happy for Napoli with that. Obviously, it's still a team that Milan has to beat, but anytime Juve looks stupid, it's great.
It's phenomenal.
I need to have this guy back on the pod more than just this once, Mario.
Both. We'll have you guys back on.
I am not shy about taking that.
Francesco isn't either. He's a little quiet about you right now, but I know how he feels about him.
Listen, you know I love to slander my Juventus myself, especially on the Tutto Calcio pod. Any opportunity to slander Juve,
it's the best.
Yeah, who got them their last trophy? I wonder.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. You know, the same guy that they slander every day.
So, guys, unfortunately, I have like 4 text messages from different people saying this video is not available to watch on YouTube, which is why our comments are very dry right now. Francesco messaged me. Not you, sorry, but the other one.
What?
Really? I messaged you. What?
No. Yeah, it was one of my buddies. Yeah, it's apparently not able to be viewed by too many people. I guess I don't know why. And even myself, I'm going to YouTube and I don't see us live, so I don't know what that's about.
That's weird.
Only Reno managed to sneak in.
Yeah, that's weird. Of course, Reno can sneak in here, right? Damn Juventus fan.
Heck?
Yeah, right. Juve fan finds the back door.
Yeah. But just to end things off here, I know we've reached almost the hour mark. Martino, I know you told us you were here just a little bit shorter, but we appreciate
our apologies out there for that.
Yeah, it sucks, you know. But as a quick shout out, we do want to shout out both your guys' podcasts that you do. I know, Martino, you do That Milan Podcast, which I did watch the other day, your whole review of the Milan-Napoli match, phenomenal. And Francesco, of course, the Tutto Calcio pod, great panel, different variety. It's always good to see a overall Serie A panel going at it. So I will leave you guys' links below in the description for everyone to check out. I know not everyone can see this live, but it'll still be recorded and watched for after. If you guys want to make any closing statements, Debo, we'll start with you.
No, just appreciate you both coming on. Great ball knowledge, and it's always nice to have some fans from other teams on here once in a while. Definitely will never be a Juve fan. That's not going to happen. But Milan, Inter, Roma, or Verona. Would never have a Verona fan on here either.
Never have a Juve fan.
Anybody else, you're invited.
Nah, it'll be too much banter if a Juve fan comes on here. Won't really be fair.
Appreciate it,
Martino and Francesco, you guys want to shout out your pods, what you guys do, anything upcoming at all?
Go ahead, Francesco.
No, just I appreciate you guys for having me on. I had a great time. I do the Tutto Calcio pod. Come on there when you guys can, and Forza Allegri, man. Hopefully this train keeps going.
I think it will. You guys will be fine. One game a week, it'll pay well.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on. Appreciate it. Great chat. You guys are great Napoli fans. I know Dan is like, every time I see the picture of you screaming, just still shot is just. It's just real quick. It makes me yawn for whatever reason. You know what I mean? It looks like we're yawning, and in turn, like I yawn. I'm like, I know this guy is like probably screaming right now, but like I'm literally tired from it. But like no, you guys do a great job. I love your passion. I love your whole family background and everything. It's really cool. It's unique. I love that you guys do this together as father and son. So it's been a lot of fun. Francesco, always doing great work. Dom is a great guy as well. Damo Puccio, big Napoli fan. He's probably shaking in his boots right now with the Yankees in the bottom of the ninth. But yeah, I greatly appreciate the conversation. It was a lot of fun, especially at the end, ripping on Juve like that. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course, we thank you guys for your time. Also, I do want to mention
man.
another Juve fan in Gio is able to watch the
Oh,
live.
there he
So I don't know.
is.
This is like Juve
There he
only, is it, like
is.
on the filter.
There he is.
No, he probably went on Twitter, man.
He is on Twitter, yes, but usually we get our most views are from YouTube. So I don't know, fairly weird. So, anyways, we appreciate
We'll look
everyone
into
for
that.
stopping by. Yeah, we'll try to fix that. Sorry about that. And yeah, guys, have a great rest of your night, and thank you for coming on again.
Thank you.
Ciao.